All right, so welcome everybody to the Toolkit to Stop Struggling. Oh my gosh, and this was born from all of the hosts that I've been playing with around the world, and we were just chatting about kind of what's going on in the different areas, and the theme really was this struggle energy. And I did a radio show about it back in maybe January about struggle. And it had a lot of listeners, even more than a lot of my money shows have. So it is obviously something that people are relating to, and by the number of you registered, also a lot of what people are ready to change. So how does it get any better? Now, in case you don't know me, my name is Glenise Hughes, and I'm a certified facilitator with Access Consciousness, and I have been since 2012. And I'm so, so, so grateful to be a part of such an amazing organization and space. And so all of the tools that I'm going to talk about today are from Access Consciousness. You can go to accessconsciousness.com, where there's so much information. You might want to take a nice cup of coffee or whiskey or something with you, because you'll be there a while. And you guys are so welcome. I'm seeing your comments on the side, and I just thank you. You're welcome for me offering it, and thank you for coming and joining. And thank you to so many of you for sharing it too on Facebook. I'm so grateful, because it's a topic. It's a topic that is time to change. You know, what about some thriving instead of struggle? So, like I said at the beginning, some of you might not have heard me. I'm going to go through the kind of the toolkit that I've put together for you guys. You guys will get it as a PDF after when I send out the recording of the Zoom recording and the audio for the call. So you will get it on PDF. So you don't need to necessarily take notes unless you like to do that sort of thing. Then you totally can. And it's basically, I mean, in Access Consciousness, guys, there's billions of tools, billions and billions of tools. So you can be using all of them or any of them. The ones that I'm going to talk about today are just the ones that I find work really well for me with regards to when I'm struggling with something or struggling to change something. But please know, if you have others that are your favorites, use them too. And there's no order to them. Except the very first one. The very first one that I'm going to say, and to me, this is the one that you guys want to be looking at right at step one, is the tool of who does this belong to? My sweet friends, all of you, if you've got something going on in your life right now and you're struggling with something, just take a moment right now. Truth, who does that belong to? Yeah. And then the other way you can ask that question is, who am I being with this struggle? Because so many of us mimic people. We saw it to be done a certain way. We grew up with people who only chose struggle. So sometimes just being willing to have the awareness of who we're being in that moment. Now, the thing with this tool, you know, who does it belong to, or who am I being, same idea. It's not about making that person wrong. And a lot of times, honestly, it's not even about that person. So, you know, you might have mimicked your mom who liked struggle, and your mom might have mimicked her dad who liked struggle. And, you know, so who does it belong to? Where did it originate? It doesn't matter. What's important is that you acknowledge that it isn't yours. Because when we are willing to acknowledge what isn't ours, that is the first step. Now, it doesn't mean that it will go away in the next breath. It might. How cool would that be? It can. Doesn't mean it's impossible. And if it's something, let's say you're struggling with money, and let's say you've struggled with money for 30 years, it may take some other action to change that. But you do very first, that's why it's the only one that's in order. You do want to acknowledge it's not yours. That struggle with money is not yours. That struggle with anything is not yours. What I always say is, if it's not infinite joy, infinite space, infinite kindness, infinite wealth, infinite space, infinite possibilities, it's not yours. but we're really, really, really good at distracting ourselves with it. We're really, really good at piecing it apart. And the analogy that I actually learned years ago in a class that my very first foundation class is we like to dig through the toilet, find out if we had corn yesterday, if we had tomatoes yesterday, and we piece it all apart, when what we could do is we could just flush it. We could literally just flush the toilet. And so this is a lot of these access tools for me, is to get out of that distraction and value something, whatever it is I'd like to create, way more than the distraction. Yeah, so in case you're not familiar with the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, I'm going to talk about it briefly here, and then I'm going to talk about it in a couple more minutes. But just because there's a lot of energy of what I'm talking about right now, I'd like to run it. So everything that all of this is bringing up for us, will you destroy and uncreate it all and return it to sender with consciousness? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah. Because it just brings up energy, and we might have a defense of, but no, I'm not like that, or no, I have to dig through my poo to find out the value, or, you know, there's all this crazy that kind of comes up. So what we want to do is run that clearing statement so that it clears that energy. And so we'll actually talk about this. So this is another one of the tools in the toolkit, is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement itself. Even if you don't run questions with it, even if you don't do anything else with it but say it over and over, either in your mind or out loud, and it's right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, I say it a little bit different than you may hear Gary and Dane say it, or other facilitators say it. There's no right or wrong way to say it. You can say it good and bad, right and wrong, all nine, like it doesn't matter. You can even shorten it. You can go pod and poc. you can be really, simplified with it. Just find a way that works. And basically what it does, at least for me, is it works like a magic wand, where you're taking all of the energy, all of the fight, all of the defense, all of the wrongness of you, all of the crazy of this reality, all of the judgment, all of the harshness, all of whatever's coming up. You're taking that and you're waving a magic wand and you're dissipating it. You're destroying and uncreating it, which is so that you can actually move forward into, or move ahead, or move, whatever terminology you want to use, beyond it. Because when we run the clearing statement on something, it will change it. Now, again, if it's a money struggle and you've been choosing money struggle for 30 years, you may have a few things that are required to run it on. So it might not be that you run it once and it just goes away. And how cool would that be? And what else is possible with that? And you may require to run it a few times. And it's one of the reasons that I use it as a tool all by itself, is because it works like magic. It is not, you don't have to add the big fancy questions that you might hear us use. You can, totally you can, but you don't have to. You can, if you're having a tough time falling asleep, just say the clearing statement over and over and over. Or maybe you're working on something that doesn't take a lot of brain power. So you have a lot of time to be thinking about the struggle and you're making crazy. Stop and just use the clearing statement over and over and over. In whatever way you want to use it, pod and poc, all that crazy stuff they say in Access. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, beyonds, the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. And in the handout that you get, you'll also have a link to, it's theclearingstatement.com. And Access has done a beautiful job of explaining it in depth, which is why I'm not going to go into the explanation of it, because you can go there. There's videos that Dane has done. There's just all sorts of great information. So you can just click on that link when you get the PDF and check it out. All right, so the next tool, and this one, if you've taken a class with me or you've listened to my radio show, you hear me talk about a lot, It is starting to acknowledge what the value to you of creating the struggle is. And this is where people don't like to go because there's no value. Glenise, what are you talking about? There's no value. Except, my sweet friends, I promise you, if you're creating it, if you're choosing it, if you're playing in it, there is some sort of a value to you. And I don't mean if it's like a, something that's come and you're taking the action that's required and you're taking the steps and you're moving forward with it. That's great. But it's when we stop and we spin in it and we go, well, they shouldn't have said that. And if they wouldn't have said that, then I wouldn't have done that. And if this should have been different. And like, that's the stuff I'm talking about. That's the stuff you want to ask. What's the value? Like, truth, what is the value of choosing to struggle with, and I'm going to keep using the example of money because it's ease for me to talk about, but truth, what's the value of choosing to struggle with money? Everything that just brought up, will you destroy and uncreate it all, return it to sender with consciousness, right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And I have a radio show from May of 2014 where I talk about this. Actually, I don't know if it was that radio show. There's a radio show that's called Ending the Drama with Money or something, trauma with money or something. Because what the awareness when I was finally willing to ask that question honestly and be honest with me about the response is the reason I was choosing struggle with money is because I love to entertain myself. It was a great way to keep myself distracted from what I could actually create. Because you can't actually be creating anything that's going to create greater if you're stuck in the crazy of, I don't have enough money, I should have more money, why do I have all this credit card debt? It was all because of that thing that happened and that thing that happened, instead of like, you know what, I'm choosing it. I'm choosing it. So once you acknowledge, you're willing to be honest with you about asking, like, what is the value? And you only have to tell you guys. I mean, I tell the world because I have a radio show and I probably post on, I do all sorts of things because I'm willing to be judged for it. And that's the thing I'm aware of. I'm aware I will only share what I'm willing to be judged for, but you can keep it to yourself. You don't ever have to tell anybody because it might not be something that you're willing to be honest with yourself about then. If it's just for you to know, to change, then you might be more apt to be honest with you about it. Now, if you have a really good friend and you're more apt to be honest with them, then you could do it that way. But a lot of times we'll even filter with our friends. So just be willing to be your best friend and be willing to let yourself know what is the value. Now, another way, once you kind of get the value, or if you're still not totally sure, another question you can ask is, if I didn't choose to struggle with blank, so if I didn't choose to struggle with money, what could I choose? Because it'll often give you the energy of what you're resisting choosing. Yeah, so everything you're resisting choosing, by choosing the struggle, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And that one is, to me, the value question is one of the greatest ways to change struggle, because it gets you out of the victim energy of this is happening to me into the creator energy of, okay, I'm choosing the struggle. Now what can I choose? And it puts you back, to me, the sense of it puts you back into the driver's seat. So everywhere you haven't been willing to be in the driver's seat of your life and living, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And anyone that you're mimicking to ensure that you never be in the driver's seat, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And I do see questions and stuff in there. I will, if we've got time, I will come back to them, guys. For now, I'm just going to continue, but be listening to these tools with those questions in mind, because chances are there's something that I'll talk about that you'll go, oh, that, because again, these tools are interchangeable. It's one of the billions of things that I love about Access Consciousness is it's not like I have to learn one tool for one thing. These tools you can use on so many different things. We just happen to be talking about struggling with anything, struggling with a relationship, struggling with money, struggling with your body, struggling with anything. All right, so the next tool, and this is one, again, this one took me 6 months to use after I heard about it, because I didn't see the point. And this tool is interesting point of view. I have this point of view. So what I want you to do now is I want you to bring up one struggle, one thing that you'd really like to change, one thing that you would like to not struggle with anymore. Just take a moment, if it's safe to do so, just close your eyes and just bring up that energy. Think about that situation, bring it up. Might even want to intensify, like kind of get mad or whatever, frustrated, whatever that energy that comes with that is. And now in your mind or out loud, whatever's comfortable for you, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. And now just check back in with that. Has it changed? For a lot of people, 3 to 5 times is all that's required to change it. And then you've just got the space. Marta said, has what changed? Because she's totally with interesting point of view. The whole thing went away. And honestly, a lot of times it can be that simple, guys. And again, it took me 6 months, and I was traveling in a vehicle. Hubby was driving. We had Leah, my friend from Athabasca. We were on a road trip facilitating bars classes in the 2 provinces, Saskatchewan, well, actually 3 provinces, Saskatchewan and Alberta and Manitoba. And we were driving and I just wasn't feeling well. And I had tried all sorts of tools and everything that I had, and nothing was changing it. And finally I was like, well, I haven't used this tool before, and I'm just going to try it because nothing else was changing it. And I said it 5 times just in my head, and the ickiness that I was feeling went away as if by magic. So I would say pretty much since that moment, I have not stopped using it. So if you have any resistance to using it, you don't have to use it. You know, there's a million other tools, but if you do, you might want to just try it, because basically what it does is it acknowledges that it's just a point of view, right? We're saying interesting point of view, I have that point of view. We're not saying interesting that I have this fact. This is real, this is so real. We're not saying that. We're saying interesting point of view, I have that point of view. It's just a point of view. And the thing with point of views is they can be changed. When I was at the certified facilitator training in December in Australia, I had lunch with one of my friends, and she had been using this kind of fun thing with a friend of hers. And what they started saying to each other, because they're both access conscious as certified facilitators, if they would hear the other person saying something that was a conclusion or kind of had that energy, they would say, wow, you're saying that as though it's a fact. Which to me very much has that energy of like interesting point of view, because we'll often say stuff like, oh, the recession right now, it's horrible. Wow, you're saying that as though that's a fact. It's just an interesting point of view. There's a lot of people on the planet not choosing the recession, and there's a lot of people on the planet choosing the recession. So it is just a choice. It's like, what would you like to choose? What would you like to create? Now, maybe it means you have to change something. Maybe you have a business that is not flowing the way that you would like it to. So then maybe you go, yeah, okay, I'm not going to be affected by the recession, and I'm going to have to add something else to continue to increase the revenue streams. Like, you want to stay in question with that. We don't want to just pretend and put on, I call them blinders, you know, those things that put on horses so they don't get distracted by things around them. We'll often do that and go, no, my business is okay. I'm okay. I don't need to add anything else. Nope, my business has been okay for 10 years. I'm going to be okay. This is the way it is. It's like, take the blinders off. Be like, hey, is there anything else I'd like to add? And it doesn't even have to be from the place of there's a recession, I have to do something different. It could just be like, hey, is there anything else I'd like to add? Are there any other revenue streams that would like to come and play with me? I mean, how fun would it be to have more revenue streams than you could count? Whew. Anything that doesn't allow that to show up as if by magic, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD, shorts, boys, meons. Now, you can also say, interesting point of view, they have that point of view. So if somebody was, let's say, criticizing you at work, let's say your boss was telling you what you needed to do different, and you were aware that you didn't actually, you didn't buy it as a point of view, but you were aware that the more that they talked about it, it kind of felt like maybe you were being impelled by it or you were allowing it in, then you could just in your mind while they're talking, interesting point of view, they have that point of view. Interesting point of view, they have that point of view. Yeah, interesting point of view, they have that point of view. So that you're basically the same thing. You're acknowledging that it's just a point of view. In this case, they have it. And if you don't acknowledge that, you may then take it on. So you can say it that way. The other thing is, let's say they're saying it and you're kind of going, oh my gosh, they're right. I shouldn't be like that, whatever it might be. Interesting point of view, we have that point of view. Interesting point of view, we have that point of view. Now, you'll hear when I say it, I leave a gap. Like, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. For me, that gap, I can perceive where things start to shift and change. And I don't mean like specifically, but I just mean energetically. And I usually sigh with it, like, and then I'll say it again. You don't necessarily have to, but you may want to be aware of that. If you're just going, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, you might not be actually being the tool. You might be saying it, but from resistance. So there is an energy about, in all of these tools, is to be the tool, not to do the tool. Now, for myself, I actually had to do the tool to get to the energy of being it. So don't worry about it so much. Just what you want to be aware of is if there's any resistance in it. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. And even if whatever you're struggling with seems like the worst thing ever, it is truly just a point of view. Now, it might be something to take action on. That might actually be required. But it's the points of views that you want to acknowledge as just points of views. And then the other thing too, just with that, in terms of those things to take action on, there might be something in there where like you've got 3 choices. I would be doing interesting point of view, I have that point of view on all of those choices. And then I would start asking around each of those choices, because if you've got a point of view about a choice, then it may not be so easy for you to have clarity of if that choice is going to create greater or not. So just being interesting point of view continuously, even if you're driving along and you're just having a great day and there's nothing going on in your world and there's no struggle, and you've got 10 minutes or something before you get where you're going, I still say it. I use it like, I often talk about our brains being like a 2-year-old. So you want to be giving that 2-year-old something to do. So one of these tools, or any of the tools that you might be aware of, are great things to give to that 2-year-old, because ultimately, if you don't give that 2-year-old something to do, for the most part, you'll start going down the life's so tough, this is such a struggle, and you go into the exact opposite of what you'd like. So even just saying interesting point of view, I have that point of view over and over with nothing in your world will change something. Or the clearing statement, of course, can also do that too. So just giving your 2-year-old something to do. Okay, the next one is, so this one goes a little bit deeper, because if you keep going back to the same points of views, or you keep like having to use interesting point of view over and over, but it's not really shifting it. What you want to identify is, what is the point of view here? So truth, what point of view do I have that's holding this in place? And that isn't so much that you're looking for an answer, but there may be an awareness. So you might be holding some money stuff in place because you've got the point of view that money is difficult when you're single, if you're single, or money is difficult in the recession, you know, if that's, but you want to identify what that point of view is. Now, I would say use interesting point of view first, like that tool. That's usually enough to change it. But if it isn't, then actually do a little bit of kind of curiosity with, okay, so what point of view do I have creating this? Oh yeah, money's really hard, or money's really tight, or there's never enough, or whatever all of that is. The other question that I love to ask around that, especially depending on the situation, but if I didn't have that point of view, what magic could I create? Because it's just a point of view that's stopping you from creating the magic or being the magic, depending on the wording that you like. In Access, there's different words that we use. So we would use be magic, but for some people that's not proper grammar, so we don't use it. Use whatever's comfortable for you. But if you didn't have that point of view, what magic could you create? And it goes back to, you know, Dr. Dane here has talked so many times, your point of view creates your reality. So if you have the point of view that you can't make money in a recession, you're gonna prove yourself right. No matter how ridiculous your point of view is, you are gonna always prove yourself right. So look at, what is that point of view that I've got here? Oh, wow. I remember growing up, my parents always said, once you turn 60, you never have enough money. Or once you divorce, there's never enough money. Once you have kids, this is a big one for all of you parents out there. Once you have kids, you've got no more money. That's just the way it is. It all goes out the door. And those are just interesting points of views that you don't have to take on as yours. Or maybe you have and you didn't realize it, but now you can change it. If I didn't have that point of view, what magic could I create? Yeah, so anything that doesn't allow you to be the magic that you truly be, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, online, putbox, shorts, boys, and yawns. Now, another question, another tool, but is a question, is what is right about this? So anytime you are in a struggle with anything, please ask, what is right about this that I'm not getting? What's right about me I'm not getting? Because often when we're struggling with something, we're going into, I'm wrong, I did something wrong, it's horrible, I'm wrong, I had to do something wrong because I'm struggling. And especially if you know any of the tools of consciousness and you're still struggling, well, you're really wrong. You're never wrong, my sweet friends. Never, ever, ever wrong. What is right about this I'm not getting? What's right about me I'm not getting? Now, you may not have an awareness. In fact, a lot of times for myself, when I ask that question, there isn't an awareness right away. And there may never be, but there always is a shift of the energy. Like, oh, okay, what's right about this I'm not getting? Yeah, okay. All right, it's lighter. Okay. Have no clue what it is. And sometimes there's not words for it. Sometimes it truly is just the energy of like, okay, this isn't wrong, basically is what that energy brings up. It's like, okay, so there's space. There's space. There was a couple of years ago, I was in a car accident. There was a lady that came around the corner and rear-ended me. And I mean, I chose some crazy around that. I had my sister with me. I had my niece with me. Nobody was hurt, but there was some sore necks and stuff like that. And I had all of this like, oh my God, I should have known better. If only we'd have left the hotel 5 minutes later or 5 minutes earlier, or maybe I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have been there. Like I had all of this crazy. And luckily a friend said to me, okay, what is right about this you're not getting? And it started shifting and changing everything. because there was a lightness to it. Even though it didn't make logical sense, there was a lightness to it. And then as time has progressed from that accident, I have been from the willingness to ask that question, I have been so much more aware of everything that that accident created that did actually create greater. Just from asking that question. So if you need to, put Post-its up around the house, if you need to set your phone timer so that you can remember what is right about this I'm not getting. Because there's always going to be an energy there for you. Always going to be an energy there for you. Now this next tool, I had just an hour and some ago, I was chatting. I have a weekly creation call with the people who host me around the world, and we were chatting about something totally unrelated to this call. And one of the gals on there, Shelly, she's my host in Las Vegas for Foundation in October, and she asked another host a question, or was sharing a tool that she liked to use in a similar situation. And I said to her, I'm going to add this to the toolkit because I love it so much. And so this question is, and so this tool is basically to receive from it. And the question is like, I wonder what it would be like for me to receive this with ease. So I don't know if you guys are ever like me, but sometimes, let's say I get an email, maybe somebody's not happy with me, or yeah, let's use that as an example. And I don't really want to even finish reading it. I just want to delete it and pretend it never happened. I want to not deal with it. I want to put up those walls and barriers. And what I loved about Shelley's question is like, I wonder what it would be like to receive from it with ease. Because I'm not wrong. If somebody emails me and they're upset with me, I'm not wrong. They're not wrong. And if I'm willing to receive from it, then I'm not putting up a barrier between me and whatever is actually going on. I can go beyond the trauma. I can go beyond the judgments or whatever's going on in the email. So I just really loved the energy of that, because so many of us like to just, and I don't know if there's so many of us, pot and pock that, in my experience in the past, putting my head in the sand has been what I would choose rather than to receive some of the things that I've decided aren't fun to receive from. So what if we'd be willing to receive from it all? Where then that email might sit there for 3 months before I deal with it, but then it's still bugging me energetically for 3 months. Whereas if I'm willing to receive from it, I might respond right away, or maybe there's nothing to respond to. It's just okay, that's where they're at. Okay, so what else is possible? Might want to run some interesting point of views, whatever that is. But it's like, what if we could receive from it all? Whew, yeah. And then another way to word that could be, what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to receive all of this with total ease? Anything that doesn't allow that, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pet, puck, shorts, boys, and beyonds. All right, so another tool. My goodness, we have so many tools. And this one, a lot of times people kind of want to throat punch me when I ask them this, because it's usually true, is they'll be going, well, this is going on and this is going on and I'm struggling with this and this and this and this. And I'll just say, hey, so truth, is this the change you've been asking for? And usually they go, ooh, shit. Yes. Because we're asking for a lot. I should speak for myself. I'm asking for a lot. And often what we do in our asks is we then decide how they will show up. And that is what bites us in the ass, my sweet friends. Because if we decide how something should show up, and we've asked, the universe will deliver it in the way that is going to create the greatest. So for some people, they might be asking, how they can start their business, and then they get fired from their full-time job. Yeah. Not comfortable. So start asking yourself, with the things that you're struggling with, is this the change I've been asking for? Because if it is, and I'm not saying every time it will be, because it's not going to be, but sometimes it will be, then you can again get out of the judgment of it and be like, okay, cool. So what would it take to have more ease with this? you know, where you go into question of with that, and acknowledging that it is the change you asked for. Now what? Now what can you be and do with that? And this isn't in the handout, but I just want to say this, guys. Anywhere that you haven't been willing to be uncomfortable, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, putt, puck, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because it really is where our asks are for the most part. I'm not saying all of them, but a good majority of them, especially if you have big asks. Now that's ask, not asses. So if you've got a big ask, and probably many of you have many big asks, going to where it's uncomfortable, do what you for is often what it takes for them to show up. Yeah, so everything that brings up, all the resistance, all the walls, all the barriers that aren't even yours, will you destroy and uncreate them all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, putt, puck, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, another really cool thing in terms of things that we struggle with is that often what we have capacities with, we use against ourselves. So one of my other questions in classes and sessions with people talking about money problems is, hey, do you have capacities with money that you've never acknowledged? And 99.9% of the time, they will say yes. And that 0.01% of the time, it's because they're pretending they don't. So you want to look at those things you're struggling with. And so truth, what capacities do I have here? Because once you start acknowledging them, then you'll actually be able to use them for you as opposed to against you. So when we don't acknowledge capacities, we end up using it against us. It ends up being a problem for us because we're punishing ourselves with it, or we're at the effect of it. Rather than if we acknowledge, like, wow, I really do have capacities with money. Okay, cool. Then what you want to be doing every day, universe, show me the capacities that I be with money. Or universe, show me the capacities I have with money, however you want to word it. But you want to start asking to be shown them. And when I say that, it is unlikely that it will, you know, show up in a certain way. You will probably not get an email from the universe, your capacities with money are this. Although if you do, would you please let me know, because that would be awesome. But otherwise, it will often be an energy where you're asking universe, show me the capacities that I be with money. And then throughout the day, you will just start perceiving the energy of it. You might not even have words for it. That's okay. But you'll get out of the lie that you are pathetic with money. You will get into the energy of being the creator of the money for you. And that will put you into the movement of exactly what you'd like, which is more money, and money with ease, and peace with money. So anywhere that you haven't been willing to acknowledgize, as we call it in Access, and be the capacities that you be in every area of your life, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, online, putt, puck, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, it doesn't mean that if you don't struggle with something, that you don't have capacities in that area. That might just be an area that you've been willing to acknowledge. So we have more capacities than we have words to describe. But you just want to be asking, universe, show me, universe, show me. And you don't have to, I said every morning, you could ask however many times a day you would like, or whatever time of day, it really doesn't matter. What you do want to do though is get into the habit of asking, so that you can get out of the wrongness of you with money, or whatever it is that you're struggling with. Because you've got capacities there that you just haven't acknowledged. All right, the next tool is the crazy phrase. So this is a really kind of funny phrase, and that's why it's called the crazy phrase. And the actual words are, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. So when you have the crazy going on in your head, you have the struggle, you have the stress, the whatever it is that's coming up for you, take a moment, take a breath, and just like you'd use interesting point of view, you can use the crazy phrase with the same result. Everything's the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. So bring up that energy again, guys. And it could be something different than what we did interesting point of view on, because likely that's shifted. But it could be the same topic. It could be just a different energy with it, or maybe there's something totally unrelated. Just bring up something that you're struggling with or you'd really like to change, and just intensify that. And then just say along with me out loud or in your mind, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And you just use it over and over and over. And one of my favorite ways to use it is if I'm not able to fall asleep at night. So sleep is not usually a thing for me, but I know that if I'm not falling asleep easily, that I'm choosing to play with some sort of crazy. So when I use that, on one hand, it bores me because I'm not thinking about something that's entertaining me. So it puts me to sleep, but it also takes the charge off of it. You can also use that if somebody, let's say you're with your boss and they're being crazy. Just do it in your head. May I recommend not saying it out loud, but just to change the energy of whatever's going on. And that's a really cool way. Or maybe you've got a teenager. You could be saying that a lot in your head to change all of that crazy. Yeah. And it just shifts it and it changes it. And if we don't kind of try to figure it out and we just allow the magic, then what else is possible? Like truly, what else is possible? And then the other tool, or another tool that I have, and this one took me again a while for me to use, is the Access Consciousness mantra. So that's all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Because for so long, it just felt to me like I was just saying words, like another affirmation, which I did prior to Access. Like I didn't really perceive the energy or what it contributed. And I would say that was even more than 6 months. That was probably a year, maybe even longer before I really started to utilize it. And in that sense, what it actually took me to do was to use it enough times to actually get the contribution that it was. So with Interesting Point of View, I didn't do it for 6 months after I learned it. And then I did it once and just a few times and it changed everything. Whereas this one, I just kept doing it. I was like, you know what? Gary always says 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night for 30 days, and there will be magic. So I just committed to choosing that for me. And that's when I started sensing what it does, where now I use it just like all the time. It's one of these tools usually going on in my head, unless I'm getting value out of creating some sort of crazy or struggle. Otherwise, there's one of these tools and all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And it isn't something that I can explain or tell you how it will affect you or what it might do. It's just something that I would encourage you, if there's a lightness there for you, to try it out and commit to you a certain amount of time. So if you use it a couple times, I wouldn't stop there. There's so much magic to it. The other thing, in case you don't know, if you are a facilitator of any kind with Access Consciousness, is that it becomes like a beacon. So you'll notice it in all of Access Consciousness marketing tools and manuals and posts and all sorts of stuff, because it becomes like a lighthouse, where other people who are like us, that are looking for greater, looking to have and create consciousness on the planet, when we see that, even though we might not know what it means, or we might think, well, that's a weird statement, it actually calls us in. So if you are a bars practitioner, you're a bars or facelift or any of that, just might want to put it on your webpage. I mean, you do need to use the copyright or the registration or trademark symbol after it, because it is Access Consciousness, but it's you can use it as that. So just as long as you acknowledge where it came from, it's a brilliant way to invite people. And it's also just an amazing tool that you don't necessarily have to use it. So yeah. So Lil says, I used the All of Life with kids into kindergarten and they settle down for sleep as I sing it. How does it get any better than that? Oh my gosh. I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. That's reminding me of many years ago, actually. I think it was in one of my first bars classes that I was facilitating, and a woman was saying that when she would walk her dog at night, she would sing it as she walked. Yeah, so I wonder how many creative ways this tool can be used around the world. And the difference between All of Life comes to me with ease and joy and glory compared to, say, I am amazing, or I am perfect, or I am whole, or stuff like that. The affirmations is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. So it doesn't in any way say that life will be perfect, that there's no hardship that we'll ever have to go through, that it's not that. It's that no matter what's going on, we can choose ease and joy and glory with it. We don't have to struggle through it. It doesn't mean it'll always be fun. There's still going to be people that we care about that will die. We're still going to have that go on in our life. And how much ease and joy and glory can we be with people and death, with money things, with body things, with whatever might be going on? All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. In fact, let's say it together now 10 times, and you can just stay unmuted, and you can do it in your mind or out loud, whatever's comfortable there. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Yeah, so 10 times in the mornings, 10 times at night, and then any time throughout the day that's required, my sweet friends, and as often as possible. Because again, if that 2-year-old is playing with that, as opposed to life's so hard, there's just such struggle, I don't have enough money, all of that, and you're giving that 2-year-old something else to play with, then you'll actually start creating something different, which takes us to the other tool of ask for what you would like. So, especially when there's a struggle, but even just a lot of people in their everyday life can be constantly asking for the exact opposite of what they say they would like. So if you would like to stop struggling with money, look at even the last hour, well, maybe not the hour we've been on, but the last hour that you spent by yourself. Were you asking to create more money in that time? Or were you talking about or thinking about how much money you don't have? So you want to get into the habit of asking for what you'd like. And the quickest way, from my experience, is the energy, space, and consciousness questions. What energy, space, and consciousness can be in my body be to blah, 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 to actualize more money than we've never imagined possible right away. Anything that doesn't allow that to show up as if by magic, I destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, POD, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because what you're doing then is you're putting your energy into creating what you'd like, as opposed to creating what you're experiencing. And we've been taught in this reality to talk about what we're experiencing as though we're a victim to it. Like, I don't have enough money, there's never enough money, it's because of the recession's going on. If only the government was better, then we wouldn't have this recession going on. If only this would change, if only that. And what are you asking for? Every thought, every word, every action you take is an ask. What are you asking for? Most times, especially in the struggle, but lots of times, anytime, we're asking for more of what we say we don't wish to have. So change it to what you'd like. And maybe in that moment, you don't have that awareness. Maybe in that moment, you're so, stressed out. You're so at the end of your rope. You're so done that you couldn't even change it to an energy, space, and consciousness question. And I'm thinking specifically, there was a radio show that I did years ago, and it's called When Life Falls Apart. And I did it based on a gal who asked about kind of how to deal with her nephew had committed suicide. And so when I'm talking about money problems, for some of you listening now or later, you might think, Jesus, Glenys, this isn't about the money. I've got this, I've got this thing. I've got a nephew who's committed suicide. I've got somebody who's dying. I've got there can be much, I'm going to say bigger things going on. So please know these tools work for those things. I use money often because most people can relate to it, but know that all of these tools will work with that too. And, in those cases where you've got that, it's like, you might just be able to formulate what else is possible. What else is possible? What else is possible? Okay, so if you're at that space and it feels so horrific, don't worry about figuring out what the ESC question, the energy, space, and consciousness question, just go to what else is possible. Just let it be ease, guys, because it doesn't have to be where you're figuring it out. And even last week's show, guys, what was that called? Trisha, you might need to. Oh, and Sue just put the archives to that radio show. And last week's show, geez, I don't even remember the name of it. But I talk about that where we're like, what if we allowed ourselves to be in that space, wherever that space is? Instead of what I came to the awareness for myself is that there was a reaction to fix things. It's like, if I didn't feel on top of the world, then I had to quickly change it because it was wrong to not feel like I was on top of the world. It's like, what if we don't have to, guys? Like, what if it's okay to be in that space? If you have somebody that you love who has died, it's okay not to be on top of the world. It's okay to be in it, and not that we justify it by the fact that somebody died. You might just have a sore toe. It's okay to not be on top of the world anytime. We just have to stop making ourselves wrong for it. So if you're willing to just be in that space of I'm not wrong, and go into some sort of a question. So what else is possible? I'm going to say is a fairly easy question, and maybe it isn't for everybody, but truly, like, what else is possible? What else is possible with what you're struggling with? And I talk about those, suicide and all those things. And I don't talk about it to justify or to say that you shouldn't have tough days, or you should, or that it's okay, or any of that. There we go, dealing with the tough days. So that's last week's show. Just what if everything that's going on right now is inviting you to something greater? And that's another tool, is like, what greatness is this inviting me to? Now, it may not be the first tool. You still want to definitely do who does it belong to. You might need some of the other ones. But as you progress, you might get to the point of, yeah, okay, so what is this? What is this? What is this greatness? Like, what is it inviting me to? This money struggle, what is it inviting me to? Look at the people on the planet who have chose money struggle, then changed it, and then inspired other people to change their money struggle. So what if, and I don't mean we choose it so that other people can choose it. I don't mean like that, but what if you're not wrong? What if what you're struggling with is something that's inviting you to something greater? Yeah, so everything that just brought up, we destroy and uncreate it all, return to sender with consciousness. Right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD shorts, boys and beyonds. All right, so the last tool that I'm going to talk about today, and I'm just going to talk about it briefly. I'm just going to talk about it as the tool because we could probably talk a lot about it. And I do have a call on it tomorrow if you want way more information. But this is something to me when we talk about struggle. And right now, for me personally, if you're on my mailing list, you would have got an email last week about this, is the tool to clear the demons. So demons are not horrific energies that are out to kill you or to hurt you or to harm you. Demons are just energies that we've hired in other lifetimes to do something for us. So let's say you had a lifetime where you had all the money in the village, and then your family was kidnapped and tortured because you had that money. Chances are you would have said, can somebody please help me to never do this again? And that's where the demons would come in and say, hey, sure, I'm happy to help. Okay. And you basically just give them that job. You've hired them. What you need to do is fire them. They can't go until you fire them. It's not significant. It's not the end of the world. It's just something you want to be aware of, because sometimes some of these tools and you're spinning and you've done everything and it's still not changing it and you're still wrong and you're in this blah. Just ask, truth, are there demons here that I've hired? Or truth, are there demons here? You don't even have to finish the last part. Truth, are there demons here? Oh, yeah, okay, cool. So any of you, let me ask that and just check in for yourself. So truth, have you hired demons to keep you in the struggle? Any of you that have got a yes. Truth, are you willing to return them to from whence they came? And it's just this simple. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality ever again. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality ever again. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality ever again. Return to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality ever again. Go back to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality ever again. Go back to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality ever again. Go back to from whence you came, never to return to us or this reality ever again. And anything that doesn't allow that, right, wrong, good, bad, online, POD shorts, boys and beyonds. And so all of those words are in your handout. You don't have to know anything more than that to use that tool, guys. It's really quite simple. And not everything is demon related, because I see, sometimes we learn that we're like, everything's a demon. It's like, no, you want to be in question of it. And you also want to know that it is a possibility, especially if it's something that you keep spinning on and you've used some of these tools, or maybe you've used all of these tools and there's still that spinning. There may be just demons that just require to be cleared. And it's that simple. It's just that simple, but it is those specific words. So again, that wording will be in the handout. So, all right, I am going to just quickly go back. I know that I for sure saw one question, but there might have been a few.
There are, I think, 2 questions.
2 questions. Is one Erica here, I think?
Yeah.
Okay, so Erica says, what could be helpful when I wake up every morning and I'm still very tired, but it's not only the morning, but during the whole day, I'm struggling with it for a long time, use the access tools, it's better, but still a problem. Oh, so Mayo, comes up as Erica, but it looks like signed as Mayo. So, I mean, definitely the who does it belong to? I would be very, very aware of that. Who does it belong to? Return to sender with consciousness. Tired, couple things you could look at. Okay, so what are you tired of? Kind of going, into that question of like, is there something in your life that you're tired of? You could be tired of, a job situation that could relate to being tired. It could also be the demon thing that we just talked about. So you might want to look at that if you've hired demons to make sure you stay tired. Because when we're tired, we're not going to be creating to the degree that we could. So sometimes we will hire demons to ensure that we don't create what we could, because if we created what we could, we would blow away most people on the planet. So we will bring in things to slow us down. So it could also be that. I'd look at that. And then the other thing too is, what are you asking for? So is there always the conversation around how tired you are? Because every time you talk about it, every time you think about it, you're asking for more of it. So I would be changing every time you become aware of it is what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be to be the infinite energy that we truly be. Anything that doesn't allow that, right, wrong, good, bad, online, POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And bars, body processes, access bars, access body processes might be something you could ask your sweet body about if it would like. And then, of course, the what's the value. So being really honest with you about what's the value of choosing that. So those are just a few things I would play around with that. And I think Lean, I'm not sure how to say that. If there's something that has worked well with suppressed anger, I've been using the clearings, including distractor implant clearing. I would really look at who does that belong to, and what's the value of choosing suppressed anger. And I would even ask if it's truly suppressed anger, or is there something that is there a lie attached? It just, when I read it, it just has a bit of a funny energy. It doesn't mean that my awareness is over your awareness, but you might just want to check in. Is it suppressed anger? Is it real anger? Is it something else? Is it potency? So is it a potency that you're refusing to be? Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, online, POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah. And of course, we could go on and on and on, guys, because there's so many brilliant tools. And these are great for where we are today. I know some of you are just starting out, and I know some of you have been using these tools for a long time. It's an amazing space to play, guys. And the more that we're willing to be the thriving on the planet, to be the space, to be the possibilities, and to change the struggle, if we would like to. You don't have to. Might be fun for you to play with, but obviously if you're on here, you probably do want to change it. Yeah, so just know that we've got tons of classes coming up around the world. You'll get the email. I'll have all the classes in there, but we've got the 4 days of foundation in all sorts of countries around the world. We've got other specialty classes all around the world. And of course, I do a lot of online stuff too, but I'll put all of that in the email for anybody who would like more, and the handout, and it will come out this afternoon, guys, or in the next few hours once Zoom gets it to me. So awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your thank yous in the chat, you guys. So incredibly grateful for you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Lenny. Awesome call.
Thank
Thank you, honey.
Winnie.
Thank
Thanks, guys. Love
Thank
you too.
you.